A base hit into the gap. They can win it with Junior speed to stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on the line down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wait him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. Edgar Martinez with a double. Whip down the left field line, and they are going crazy at the Kingdom.
If you watch the game, you might have caught this. Gino is rounding the bases, does all his stuff that he does. A massive hit, rounding third, coming home. And who is on deck? Jorge Polanco. You're expecting to get some dap. You got some from Cal. And coming out of the dugout, you see Josh Naylor. Did he get Eugenio any dap? Absolutely not. He was up early just before him. He goes to the on-deck batter, Jorge Polanco, and talks to him about what he's seeing from that pitcher. It got me so jacked up, even though it was a big-time home run from Eugenio. Just to see that I don't care that you just hit that home run. To see that you went to the on-deck batter to talk strategy about what you're seeing. You're a fellow left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
Blanco was just totally involved what Naylor was saying. It's something I noticed, and it absolutely got me pumped.
Just try to play baseball. I just like to wake up, come to the field, work hard, win a game, go home, repeat.
Grisham was going like this. Yeah, we're going back to this. Is a big deal. I think he was seeing something, but I don't care. That's up to the Mariners, the pitcher and the catcher to knock it off or figure out why they got a tattletale on him. But he was obviously on those pitches, on anything that spun, his arms would come up.
So he must have been tipping his pitches, but
yeah, I think it's when it's in the glove. Remember how the Blue Jays pitcher got so pissed off at Cal Raleigh earlier in the year? They said he was tipping pitches to his hitters at second base. Same thing. Yeah. They're looking in when the pitcher comes set. The man on second base is seeing their grip.
Well, that's on the pitcher. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Is he showing his ass? But also, usually the old school managers, bench coach, another player on your own bench could pick it up too. They're supposed to be watching for this stuff all game long. But like somebody's watching your own pitcher to make sure he's not tipping. I mean, that's the thing that drives me nuts is when they're like, oh, somebody was tipping his pitches. It's like, how the hell nobody caught this?
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
What up? This is Myron, and you are checking out the Rye Bread and Mustard and Mariners podcast at Down on the Docks on the other side of the tracks. 5-star dive bar about your American League West champion, Seattle Mariners. All right, this is the episode that we have been waiting to get to for a very long time. It's been a long road of ups and downs, 6 months, 8 months going into spring training. 9 or 10 months of when you were maybe getting back into the swing of things and being really pissed off at the organization. Well, here we are. Mariners are missing the first round this year because they get to play in the second round. Usually that phrase is coming out of my mouth with the latter part. In today's episode, we're going to be checking out the playoff bracket preview, because as a Mariners fan right now, we just get to sit back, relax, or maybe not relax, analyze. So on today's episode, since we're going to be dialing in here on the American League, we got our good friend and regular contributor, actor, writer, producer, Big Vlad, aka Big Vladdy Daddy, aka give these guys the proper your usual proper intro. I've heard you do many times in meetings.
Vlad, aka Vlad Carlos Stanton.
Yes. And then of course remember the one that was retired for good, aka the Puerto Rican Putin?
The Puerto Rican Putin, that's back.
Oh, it's back. Okay. Here is something fun though I want to talk about, because we'll see if Hanno is going to show up, my usual co-host, but I think he's still celebrating that AL West title from Wednesday, and then and the 60 home runs, and then on Thursday we followed up with the Mariners and Seahawks in the same day, which I think was a bit much for everybody. But here's a little trivia or background information on Vlad. If you go check him out on IMDb, your IMDb is very full of all kinds of things that everybody knows. But trivia question here, or not trivia. Here's just a fun fact. You have worked with both Al and Peg Bundy.
That is a fact. Early.
But this wasn't because you were a kid actor on Married with Children. Can you tell the listeners where you worked with them?
Yeah, I worked with Peg Bundy, aka Katie Seagal, on a CBS sitcom called Superior Donuts. And I worked with Al Bundy, aka what's his name? Ed Helm.
Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill. I worked with him twice. Once on Modern Family and once on Weird City. It was a Jordan Peele TV show. It was like before YouTube changed platforms or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I didn't tell you I was going to put you on the spot here, but we got to pimp you out a little bit here. But go check him out on IMDb, or your Instagram is at Vladdy Daddy Forever.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you put that up on your thing here. All right, enough of that Hollywood jargon talk. But that's a little segue. We do have I do have a little bit of an announcement on Tuesday. We got a new episode coming out. It's the first week of Saturday Night Live, season 51. We have actor, writer, and current writer on Saturday Night, Charles Hart, also a big Dodgers fan, big baseball fan. We just recorded with him. We're going to drop that on Tuesday, maybe on the YouTube side. We'll drop that out on Monday night. But as far as the podcast listeners, we're there. Also, thank you for liking, subscribing, and all of that good stuff. If you are a listener on the podcast, which we know we have so many more listeners on the podcast, you're really missing out if you're not checking out the YouTube. And if you're just checking us out on YouTube, you can listen to the podcast without seeing our faces, which is probably a plus and going to make the experience much better. So go check out there. Also, if you are looking for a pregame destination, there's only one spot, in my opinion, and that's Tacos and Tequila right down there on Occidental. It's the closest bar if you're walking from northbound to southbound into the stadium. Go check them out. As well, hey, maybe you're just one of those people who likes to grab a dog. Make sure you grab them from Al's Famous Hot Dogs. They're open pre and post game right there on Occidental. Glad you're a big hot guy. We love Al's gourmet sausages, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's like usually if they have one right next to the stadium on Occidental and one more down towards Lumen Field. And of course, if you want your gear, get it at In the Clutch Apparel. Any of your MLB, NHL, NFL, tennis, they got it all. In the Clutch Apparel. You see the promo code going right there. Rye bread and mustard, all one word. And of course, if you want that street bread for rocking the rye bread, hit up at simply.core. That's at simply.core on Etsy or Instagram. All right, all the house cleaning is done and Hanno has not showed up, so we are proceeding with this episode. All right, so we had a big, strong finish today around baseball. Going into Sunday, There were a couple things still up for grabs. We had the AL East, which is going to affect us the most, probably, who is going to be the AL East champion. So today you had Yankees going in, possibly being able to overtake that from Toronto, which also includes a 1-round bye. How is that going over there in the AL East?
Yeah, both the Yankees and Blue Jays won, so they have the tie break for beating us up this season. So, it's not ideal. As a Yankees fan, you like to get that bye, but that bye does, make you really start fresh from a Heat perspective and the way our bats are going. I mean, I know it's not looking good going into a game 1 against Garrett Crochet, but that's the one little silver lining where it's like, well, at least the bats, we only get 1 day off, and we're right back to it. Sometimes for a longer series, having that week off, or sometimes even like 3 or 4 days is enough to throw a team off. So, and it happens.
Yeah, I was just looking this up. I know, and I already know this just from talking to you a lot. The Yankees have had a lot of problems with the Boston Red Sox this year. And what can you pinpoint the actual problem is with the Red Sox? And again, this is regular season. Anything can happen. Everybody's 0-0. But what was the struggle this season with the Red Sox?
Well, I think it's the struggle that's been since the Cora era. I think Cora's just a really good manager, but even aside from cheating and shit like that, his in-game management and their game plans, he just always seems to be one step ahead of Boone. And and just to be honest, in the past few years, we've been far from a perfect team in how we play baseball, as was evident in the 5th inning of the World Series last year, where that's the kind of baseball we tend to play for stretches. So, I mean, we have really cleaned it up, and we beat them the last series. So, I would say that you kind of can throw it out at this point. But, I mean, I think they went 7-0 against us to start this season. Just the running on us, if they can, taking every extra base, putting the ball in play, all those kinds of things. Just the flow of game, where I feel like Cora might be less of a cling to the analytic dweebs late in games, whereas the Yankees, from the front office to Boone, they have their plans. When anybody who watches a lot of Yankee games knows that you could see a horrible plan of theirs in motion, and they won't veer from it. Whereas Cora still has like that old baseball manager in him, where he could figure something out about you in an inning and then exploit it for the next 3 games. He doesn't need they don't 32 analytic people barking in his ear. He's got that old. He just feels like a real manager.
And just for like maybe a casual listener or somebody that's maybe not watched too much baseball and don't link him so much with the Astros, the cheating you're talking about was he was involved with the Houston Astros.
Right. And then he won a World Series when the Red Sox were cheating using Apple Watches when they won the World Series in like 2019 or so. And so he came from the Astros. They developed the trash can thing, and then he came to the Red Sox and immediately put in the Apple Watch thing. And you're not familiar with that?
I'm actually not familiar with the Apple Watch thing. I thought his suspension that he served an entire year. He was banned from baseball for a year.
Yeah.
I thought that was stemming with the Astros, but no, this is interesting. Keep going.
It was just a separate incident where I remember there was like, after the Astros got busted, then they were like teams were trying to rat each other out, and they tried to say the Yankees had something going on. Nothing came out of that. But what did come out of it was the Red Sox were doing some Apple Watch thing where they were signaling each other, somebody from a TV looking at the signs with an Apple Watch to somebody in the dugout or something like that.
Yeah, I just found an old article from January 2020 when we were still just living innocently before pre-COVID. But it says it's from MLB, and it's like a day after the Red Sox manager Alex mutually decided it was best to end their partnership. One thing made clear from ownership during a packed press conference. So Cora is no longer managing the Red Sox because of his actions as the bench coach for the Astros in a central role that MLB uncovered in the sign stealing scandal about which Commissioner Rob Manfred released a full report. So I put in the Apple Watch as a search. Maybe it's not in this article, but so he was the bench coach. So he was sitting right there with AJ Hinch when he was on Houston.
Yeah. But I will say he just does. He also, I mean, even like look at Hinch. He's still a good manager even without the cheating. But yeah.
And then there was a lot.
I do want to say, even though I brought this up, I think Cora is one of the better. Like I wish he was our manager. I'll say.
You've mentioned to me many times. Well, you do look blurry there. You have mentioned to me many times in the past that if you could trade managers, Aaron Boone, huh?
I'm going incognito for the rest of the.
I know you look. As soon as I start asking you this kind of question, your identity goes blurry. You have said to me many times off the record, and I'll bring it right here onto the record. You feel like pound for pound, Alex Cora is a stronger manager than Aaron Boone. Absolutely,
everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So that in those tight games, man. In those tight games, he just, I mean, even the little things too, like, benching people for dogging it to first. He doesn't need the media, the fan base getting on him for 3 weeks, for 2 months to get it done. I mean, it was a couple of years ago. He benched somebody for dogging it out the box in like the first or second inning. Just little things like that, but also just the game management, the feel of the game, He's not going to go to a pitcher that the book says if he's got a instinct. So it's just, you got to, you need your game plan, but, you also just got to be paying attention to what the hell's going on. So I don't like this matchup. I don't like, I would rather play any other, even the Toronto who's beat us up this year. But in fairness to Yankees, this is the best we've finished a season since maybe 2017, 18, in terms of rolling in the right way and not just relying on the winning that we acquired while the other teams were figuring out, what to do.
Right. You know what I mean? And so you mentioned Toronto. I want to talk about Toronto in a second. Let's go to a quick break and see if you can. We'll have you maybe log back out for your camera.
Okay.
And
we also got a question for me.
Yeah, we'll get all of that just here shortly.
Supercross this weekend in the Kingdom. The Coors Beer Supercross doubleheader. Get ready, Seattle, this Saturday night at 7:30 and Sunday afternoon at 2. The 1988 ANA Supercross Tour, Motorcycle Mania, on an incredible dirt battleground that treats man and machine the same way. With absolutely no respect. See the best. National champion Jeff Ward, former champion Ricky Johnson. Tickets at all Ticketmaster locations, including the Bond, Tower Records and Video, and participating Honda dealers. The Coors Beer Supercross.
All right. Now you're just back to looking pixelated, but we'll take it.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's well, this is such an improvement of what we had there. I know I get the big and a nice working actor here on the show, and who's comes across the screen pretty good. Now it's all blurry. That's just my bad luck. Okay, so Toronto Blue Jays. If I can go back and look back at the Mariners schedule, it's been a long time since the Mariners have locked up with the Toronto Blue Jays, and so being in this vacuum of following the Mariners, I don't know much about them. I just know that when the Yankees kind of went on their downfall about before the All-Star break or right after it during the summer, Toronto Blue Jays take over first place, and it was kind of like this thing of like, oh wow, they caught him. That'll last for a second, because I didn't really think much of the Toronto Blue Jays at the beginning of the year. In fact, I don't think Vladdy had a deal yet, or maybe he just had a deal made. And I remember Bo Bichette being talked about as maybe this was somebody that maybe a lot of teams, even the Mariners, would be interested in bringing in. Now look at the Toronto Blue Jays. George Springer has an amazing season. That's one thing I do know about them. But I look at them right now, it looks like they limped into the playoffs. They were playing exactly the opposite way that you guys were playing, or the Mariners were playing, or the Cleveland Guardians were playing. What's your scouting report on the Toronto Blue Jays?
Well, I mean, they did pull off the sweep to keep first place. Bieber's been good since they got him. I mean, what the scouting report on them is, they just don't strike out. They put the ball in play. They have the ability to keep rallies going. Bichette was having a good year, but he's probably done unless they make the ALCS. So, I mean, they just play good baseball, and the way the Yankees were playing, they put the ball in play, and if you give them extra outs, they're just going to slap the ball all over the infield, and they got a couple guys that could put it out too. So, Bieber has pitched well since they got him. So they could be a tough team. I mean, I'm not as scared of them now, since we played them when we had to beat them and beat Boston like a month ago. But they're no slouch team. They got a couple of gamers on there. Springer's had a bounce back year. Guerrero's power numbers are down, but his average is just under 300. They got some good guys over there.
Well, as far as Mariners in Toronto, they played in April 18th, 19th, and 20th, WrestleMania weekend, by the way, if you celebrate. Mariners lost that series at home. They lost 2 of those 3. And then the Mariners played Toronto again in May, and they swept them. So the Mariners actually did have the tiebreaker. They did have a chance going into this Dodgers series. If the Mariners could have swept the Dodgers, was the other way around. The Mariners could have ended up with number 1. But Hanson and myself made the argument of, I feel like that the Mariners are on the right part of the bracket right here. Sure, they could have maybe put their foot down and played everybody against the Dodgers. Maybe you get the number 1, maybe you don't. You see Josh Naylor have to come out of a game on Friday, and you have to shut him down from this. And the reward would be home field advantage if you were to play throughout the American League side of the playoffs. But I think the Mariners made the right decision in staying over. And I feel like, as a Mariners fan, I'd rather play, in the last famous words, but I'd rather play Detroit or Cleveland. Detroit, if you don't know this, set a record for the worst finish by a team that has ever made the place. Let me start that over, because I want to say this clear. Detroit Tigers have now set a record for the worst finish ever by a team that's made the playoffs since the World Series era, since 1903. They're 10 games under 500, 7-17 finish by a team going into the playoffs is the worst. They don't win their division. They hold on with a wild card. They just edge out the Houston Astros, which as a Mariners fan and as a Yankees fan, is probably most baseball fans. I mean, until the Mets didn't make the playoffs, which we'll get into in a second because we got to let you have a little bit of a victory lap. Detroit Tigers, I mean, just let that sink in. Since the first World Series, since they've been doing this shit, since they were playing with bare hands, basically, just about.
Well, it would have been the worst. It would have been the worst if they got bounced out, but now they're calling the Mets the worst.
Yeah, well, if you got bounced out, you wouldn't be on this list. There has been teams, I believe, that had a collapse like this and didn't make the playoffs, but this is as far as teams actually getting into the playoffs. So you're going in there, but again, that might be a scary team to play. Everybody's 0-0, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. But one more thing, if you go back and you look at the Texas Rangers a couple of years ago, they had a huge collapse, and the Mariners almost ended up catching them. And I think on the last day or game 161, this is in 2023, I think Houston, Mariners, and Astros were kind of in this like three-way tie thing. And that's because the Texas Rangers had absolutely no bullpen. If you remember, they were just blowing games left and right. They get to the playoffs and they figure it all out. So anyways, go ahead.
It does happen. I mean, I just feel like in all sports, or especially like basketball, hockey, and baseball, how you go into the playoffs, like, you don't want to be limping it. You don't want to be doing the wrong things, just day to day. How you go in, like if you're losing games every which way and you still make it in, it's like, yeah, sure, you could say, hey, clean slate, but you're still doing all the dumb shit. You're either not fielding right or base running mistakes or, chasing pitches out of the zone or not driving people. Like, you don't want to be doing everything wrong to the level that they're doing. Like, to me, they're a non-factor just because of how they played. I don't care who they got. They had to pitch Scooble today to get in. So now you're not going to see him on Tuesday. Whoever's playing.
Yeah, you might not see him till you might not see him till game 3. I mean, there's a situation if you're Cleveland,
might be done by then.
Yeah, that might be the bulletin board material. Like, no Scooble, no problem.
I mean, I just feel like, you want to be playing the right way going in, especially in these other sports. I mean, even if you were in football, if you went 13-0 and then you lost the rest of your games, but still, well, maybe that's a lot, but like if you went 10-0 and then you lost the next games and then you just make it in, like you're still a team that's been losing every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Detroit Tigers fan, I mean, you got to be just losing your shit and got to be just absolutely uninspired by the playoffs. Or do you look at it as 0-0? But you are right, like the way they're set up and their collapse and you're playing the team too that ended up catching you. And I think in July, I was listening today, I think at one point the Cleveland Guardians were 15.5 games out of first place. And as a team, and that was a team as a Mariners
didn't really settle as much as people thought they would.
Yeah,
remember they were going to trade Juan.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland. You've said it before. I think our thing was delayed there, so sorry for us talking over each other. We always talk about Cleveland. You're like, they've lost 2 guys. They lost 1 guy. They lost their closer to a gambling scandal. He's out of the league, and you like that Connie's still in the league. But he's gone. Yeah, and they're gutting their team. It seemed like they were about to be big sellers. They weren't huge sellers. But Cleveland always stays right there in the middle when it comes to those kinds of moves. Anyways, they hang in there. It was them. You look at them, or you look at the Minnesota Twins. You thought maybe they would compete more in this division, and you cut to the end of the season. Sure, Minnesota definitely did not, but Cleveland right there at the end of the. If you just said at the beginning of the year Cleveland was going to edge Detroit out by a game, you'd go, oh, okay. But in the manner that it happened, you were just like, oh my God. But also, how scary is Cleveland right now? Are they scary, or is this a team you would not be scared to play? Because you look at the team on page and you go, I'm not really scared of that, and you feel like you, even as a Mariners fan, you have a good matchup against them. But they were just as hot, if not hotter, than the Mariners, because they had to be.
I mean, it's just a team that we have beat so many ways, and like, they gave us a decent effort last year, but it's just they have to play great to win. So I feel like they're a rollover team. So I mean, it's kind of their best shot to me is against Detroit. So I mean, I think you guys are going to the ALCS no matter any way you slice it. You guys have a real team, on paper, on both sides of the ball. You're in the easier bracket. Parmesan LeBron says the Tigers collapse brought to you by the Mariners sweeping them pre-All-Star break. So
that would. I mean, that's not. If you might have a turning point of the Detroit Tigers season, it was right around there. I mean, they had the best record, I believe, in baseball when the Mariners went in there. And then it was a weird thing. The Mariners make that big sweep, and you're feeling good about them, especially going, oh, wow, this team can go on the road and take care of teams like that. And then the Mariners have a terrible second half when it comes to playing on the road, which is still a concern to me. I know they turned it around here towards the end, which maybe that's what we should focus on. And they went into Houston, and they pretty much put Houston out of their misery, or sent them pretty much to their deathbed here for the last week. It's still playing on the road as a Mariners fan, but I would think, like I mentioned earlier, I think the path to playing in the ALCS is probably easier, I would assume, on this side of the bracket versus having to be on the other side of the bracket with either the Yankees or either the Red Sox or even the Toronto Blue Jays.
Just look from a record standpoint, the Yankees and the Blue Jays finished with the same record to lead the AL, and we're the 4th seed.
Right. Yeah, you guys had a better record than the Mariners.
Seth says, who does Vlad think is a better team going into the postseason, Mariners or Yankees? That's a really good question. They're both. I mean,
if we're going by the record, you guys have 4 more games. I want to reiterate this to Mariners fans. You just said it right there. You got the New York Yankees.
I wanted us to be the number 1 seed coming into today.
Yeah.
I was hoping that, I wanted that spot.
I mean, 94 wins, as much as you've had a roller coaster year, you really have. 94 wins is nothing to discredit whatsoever. No matter how you got to it, 94 wins. If you sign up after, losing the World Series, which can have a hangover effect, losing Juan Soto, losing Garrett Cole, not to mention other key injuries to the team, even watching next. I know you guys put it to Cortez, but you had a lot of changes. And I'd hate to even say this, and you'd be like, oh, gross. But I mean, you'd have to put Aaron Boone in there as pretty much all the managers, but yeah, you know what I'm going to say. Would you give him manager of the AL? I mean, considering these things, considering those things, you look at Dan Wilson and you go, well, the Mariners win their first AL West title in 24 years, and look at the manner that they came back and caught Houston, and look at the changes that they've had to make and the injuries they had to the teaching staff, and you go, there's a candidate. You also have to look at the guy I can't stand, the manager of the Cleveland Guardians. Look at that turnaround. I guess we could take AJ Hinch and throw him out of the manager of the year, or the Toronto Blue Jays manager, who I really think is a buffoon. so he wouldn't get my vote. Who gets your manager of the year?
I mean, what about Cora? They traded Devers.
Alex Cora, sure,
They
absolutely.
traded their big bat, and I know they had issues going into the season, I had a bunch of kids. Who's that other kid who got hurt that they won't stop talking about? I forgot his name, but
On Boston.
Anthony or something, or I don't know. I mean, for the fact that they got hot, and
You know, Roman Anthony.
Roman Anthony. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So as far as Roman Anthony injury,
he's coming back.
I'll just pull up with ESPN. Yeah, he was on a 60-day. But on the 28th, which was today as we were recording this, Red Sox manager Alex Cora said in Sunday that Anthony, and it's an oblique, will continue workouts with the team's complex in Florida during the upcoming week. So he looks like somebody, if they're going to get him back, it's not going to be in the first round against you guys.
No. So just to answer Seth's question, I mean, I would say the Yankees and Mariners are probably the better teams in the AL. I guess if I had to choose one, I would say the Yankees, just because that 1 through 6 is it's a it's a chore to get through, and just having Judge in the middle of that hitting 331.
Let's go through your 1 through 6. Let's go through your 1 through 6. If you're filling out the Yankees, or let's just say this, if you're filling out the Yankees card, and what are you doing? It's game 7. Who's 1 through 9?
I'm probably going Grisham 1, Rice 2, Judge 3, Bellinger 4, Stanton 5, Chisholm 6.
And then what's the back half looking like? 7, 8, 9.
I guess it's who did I? Chisholm was 6, so then I would go.
You got to start Jose Kevin, right?
If this is mine, yeah, but I would probably bat him 9th. But it really just depends if Wells is batting, if Wells is catching. I wouldn't want to put 2 lefties together there. Who's the other guy? But then there's McMahon. We're kind of screwed with the lefties at the end, so maybe go Wells, Caballero, McMahon. And
you're right. That one. Yeah, your 1 through 6 really is good. If I go to the Mariners 1 through 9, I could tell it to you right now because it's pretty much been this way. But Randy Rosarena left, Big Dumper catching, Julio out in center field. Then here's where it can kind of switch around. But I personally would go with Josh Naylor at 4, just because he makes more contact and you got some big swing miss guys right there, but big hitters up at the top. And then I would definitely go with Polanco at 5. Again, this guy's the guy who hit 3.
You don't care about lefty, right?
In his he's a switch hitter. So that kind of helps you right there. And then I'd go Eugenio Suarez 6. And then 7, I'm going Dom Canzone 7. From there, I'm going with JP Crawford. No, excuse me. I'm going with Victor Robles 8 and JP Crawford 9. If it were, and that's what I would go with. But again, if it's a left-handed pitcher on the mound, then things get a little bit trickier where you can put maybe Polanco at DH, and you can play maybe Leo Rivas at second base. So you do get a little bit more defense there, and then you can have him hit left-handed. As far as the Mariners lineup, I don't think there will be too many changes. I mean, you might see Mitch Garver in a DH situation if there's a left-hander. And that's a guy like, that's the guy on the team that you had to pay all this money for the last 2 years. He's had a couple of big moments this year, but the rest of the year has been bad. But that's the kind of guy that might go into the postseason. He's been to the postseason. He's had great postseasons in the past. Maybe that's why you have him. I mean, that is why you have him on the team, but you're not going to be seeing him catching. You're not going to be seeing Cal Raleigh DHing. It's pretty much, I feel like the Mariners schedule roster is there. And then you have pinch hit situations with Luke Raley. Again, Mitch Garver might be a pinch hit situation. It'll be interesting what they do with the roster. But at that point, after that, you have guys like Leo Rivas or Master Boney that they brought back up from the minors today, who's a utility guy. So I think as far as that, and you stack the Mariners lineup up against, I would say pretty much anybody, you're at least competitive or it's better. I mean, we look at your lineup and sure, right in the middle, the scariest thing that's happened this week, as far as me watching the Mariners as a Mariners fan, is seeing that the Twin Towers, Aaron Judge and Stanton, who's been a great playoff player, especially last year for you guys, heating up at the right time. And that's scary.
So's Rice. He hit 2 today. I think he had 4 this weekend, maybe. But yeah, I mean, and you guys with all your additions, that basically I'm co-signing that. I think I created because they went out and got everything I wanted. That I've been saying on this podcast for almost 3 seasons. So you guys have a legitimate offense to, be worried about, to go with the pitching. But I feel like we're both of our, I feel like we're both pretty evenly matched. So and we haven't faced each other in these versions of ourselves either. We haven't faced your guys with your major league, offense.
Yeah, right.
You haven't faced us with major league defense. When we were still kicking the ball around with being stuck with Volpe and having dickheads at third. And now we have McMahon, somebody who could pick anything at third. And, all that shit. So, but I mean, again, too, though, it's just like you guys are going to worry about later. I got the number 1 team I don't want to face right out the gate. So, and then the number 2 team I don't want to. If we win, we have to face the other team that kept in all season long. So, but in terms of like the team that swept the Mariners doesn't exist anymore. The team that the Mariners that got swept, you guys aren't that version of that team either. So,
yeah, that is right. That is correct, and that's even kind of like the point I'm bringing up about Toronto earlier, where it's like, since we played Toronto, they weren't like this. They weren't a first place team. We did.
No, I'm blurry.
Yeah, well, we just got a message from our co-host here. We'll take a quick. We'll see. Quick break. We got some other stuff to talk about. We got to get into the Aaron Judge big dumper discussion here. MVP. Maybe quickly just glance through the National League. We'll see if we could get him on here.
We don't need to cover the real league here.
Coming up right after.
Talking about the Jesus Commandos, and I call them Commandos because they're like diehards for what they believe in, and they walk around with these huge signs, and then with these gigantic like megaphones. There was this one instance where like the guy with the megaphone, I'm already playing right in front of left field gate. He's like right next to me, standing next to me with his megaphone, and we're like in competition. It's not really a competition, but it's just like super like what are you doing? You know what I mean? So the Mariners, they got these QR codes right here on these blue barriers where the fans in line waiting can scan the QR code, and it brings up information about the initiatives they're trying to put forth with eliminating amplified noise is the technical term that's on their wording. I play acoustic drums, but my backing tracks are through amplified speakers. So there's a thin line right there, and I just want the fans to know
if you are agreeing to this or going through the process of eliminating these guys, like it could trickle over to me. My relationship with the Mariners so far is really cool. So like city has to enforce these laws. So the city would actually be coming out here with sound meters or just telling, the new musicians on the block and myself to like, you got to pack up and leave. And I think we're a good part of what's going on here at T-Mobile Park. A lot of families, couples, older fans walk up to me and let me know like I've become like almost in a tradition to like their ballpark experience. They're excited about when the game ends to come out and dance and have a good time. So to take that away just because, a couple of guys with megaphones is a loss. Also for the T-Mobile Park experience. T-Mobile Park brags about having the #1 fan experience in the major league. And I believe that because I'm a part of that. But, let's look out for guys like me, you know what I'm saying, that actually make coming to T-Mobile Park a special thing.
So that was, let me bring you back on here, bud. So that was from our last episode. Go check that out. That's with the Pike Street drummer, aka Chris Anderson. So real quickly, if you listen to the last episode, we didn't just talk about the issue with the megaphone preachers, as they're called, but just to clear that whole thing up and talk about that just really briefly. If you are interested in going back and checking that out, basically what is going on as pertains to that subject is that the Seattle Mariners have been kind of losing this battle. And I think as fans, we all want them to win this battle of getting the preachers that are outside of the stadium with their megaphones and their high decibel screaming and yelling towards fans as they go into the game. And the thing is, it's a battle between free speech and noise ordinance. And it seems like the Seattle Mariners have felt like they don't really have a choice. So they're having the city help them out. And the city seems to be within the writing of the law saying that all amplified music, which Chris, the Pike Street drummer that we all love going and listening to him pre and post games, could possibly be in a bit of trouble because not trouble, but it might affect him because he does use backing amplified tracks for his act that he does down there. But hopefully there's a way that they can find a way to separate what he does and what the other musicians do that give that vibe down on Occidental or on First Avenue as teams are walking in the stadium versus like what these other people are doing. And yes, they are using religion as a tool to create some sort of fear of something that's going on. But you've been there before, Vlad, how Occidental has the music and the vibes, and that would suck to kind of lose that because of a group or a small little army of megaphone people.
Nobody wants megaphone people there.
Yeah, I mean, what's your feeling on that of these? I mean, is this the kind of thing that you would see at other stadiums, or do you think this is a Seattle thing and that's just kind of like the vibe up there where protesting is a bit more out in the open version? Like, is this happening outside of Yankee Stadium?
I don't know. I don't ever remember being harassed by a megaphone preachers outside of. I don't even remember seeing any in Seattle. I saw
they're
one
there.
at the Rams game years ago that was annoying, and he was like right behind us. Nobody wanted him there. Nobody was listening. He was just wasting his life. It's not like he got any, but nobody got inspired to.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Guys,
are you gonna like? Sorry, are you gonna change your mind because this person was harassing you in the same? You go, you know what? Maybe I am on my way to the highway to hell. I need to switch things around. I think like there's another way of getting somebody converted into what your beliefs are.
Nobody put their drinks or their drugs down on their way into the stadium. Nobody thought that they were. Nobody cared. All anybody thought was, get this fucking guy out of here.
Yeah, it is. If there's somebody, if anybody has seen footage or knows a story of somebody just going, you know what, you're right. We don't need to go to the All-Star. I got to give away.
The same things if a guy was standing there with a flute and he sucked. You wouldn't be like, yeah, this guy's got it right. You'd be like, get this fucking guy out of here.
I would love to see the analytics on their success that they have.
Zero. I know them. Zero. There's
Zero.
never been one crazy guy saying Bible or any religion's passages into a megaphone in the street, and nobody's ever said, wow, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Except
And
whoever
just,
else is roped into helping you.
I do want to acknowledge, like, I'm going to get away from all that, but that's what Rye Bread and Mustard podcast is. We're not going to do everything straight down the middle. We're going to do some fringe stuff. And Chris is a good friend of ours, and we really enjoy him out there. And he's a big part, just like he said, he feels like, hey, I'm a big part of what the vibe is here. I mean, this is somebody that the Mariners brought in, and he's actually played drums in the stadium as a hype person. So I would hope that the Mariners would maybe hand out Parmesan. LeBron actually suggested this, where they should give permits to some of these guys that have been out there that are, and go, okay, well, we give them the permits for this, but then it turns into a noise ordinance thing. But there's not much people living down there. It's hotels for the most part.
But he's also, that guy is, they put him literally while you're exiting the stadium.
Yeah.
On there, like right in front of when you're exiting, you have to go around the drum guy. So I mean, he pretty much is getting the franchise's blessing. You know, they're not saying, hey, move your shit across the street or into the closed road. He's on, like, you know, when you exit the turnstile, he's right there.
Yeah, and he's had to compete with the preachers out there, which also is the other thing is that we talked about. Why does it have to be at like 10 or 11 on the scale of the voice? You know, and they have all this equipment from Radio Shack that just sounds terrible. You know, it's one thing that they're saying what they got to say, and they're spreading hate and stuff like that. But then with the megaphones turned up to 10, he said, I've literally had to compete with them just over noise. But we do have a bunch of comments. I know it was kind of controversial, but somebody said, I can't, Olin Vid 0. What we need is more people with megaphones just to surround and drown them out with Mariners chants and signs. Could get a little tricky. There is a guy that stands out there with a sign that says, hey, Cal, can you please take a big dump on this guy? And he trolls the guys, which I get, but also that's a lot of effort just to do that. Another comment we have at Daryl Eddings 5901. Amplified noise is already banned. Tell the megaphone idiots to leave or get arrested. You have to have a permit through the city to play music on public streets. So if he doesn't have one, this is a non-story. Oh. Is that a? Oh, I get it. Okay, not a shot at us, but yeah, we've seen a lot of positive things of like, hey, get these guys out of here. I think everybody wants them out of there. Seattle Times has covered it. The news has covered it. It's just a tricky situation because you are throwing the First Amendment stuff in there. So really, the thing that they have to go about is the noise. Is really the noise is the only feels like the only attack that you can get them out of there. That's the move, I guess.
Well, I guess this is just a crazy time where all these things are constantly being questioned. But like, what point is something freedom of speech and harassment?
Right. Like that's what
I've been harassed. I've felt harassed by megaphone people who don't, you know, they're just basically trying to ruin everybody's time and, you know, just screaming like morons. They have nothing to do with the game, the festivities. You know, they're just there from their own mission from God or whoever. But, you know, it's just like harassment.
We got another. I don't know if we want to read that one. That I just got it. That one. Not worth it. Okay, moving on. Let's.
He said he feels like he's watching Fox News right now.
Oh God. Where's that?
All right, let's go. Let's get to the AL MVP.
I started seeing things about Antifa and Karens and whatnot. Hey, we'll have a town hall meeting on maybe another episode, but I feel like I'm watching. Yeah, I get it. Let's we'll come back. Let's get into the AL MVP talk right after this.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave, and they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. Moving on from the last segment, of course, and Vlad's thing goes blurry. Why don't you go in and go out? Why don't you go and go out, and I'll set us all up here. So obviously we got to the part of the episode where we knew we'd probably land at some point, and that is the discussion between Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh. Now we have equal representation on here for Aaron Judge, so we can acknowledge what he's doing and maybe listen to some sort of reasoning of why maybe outside of Seattle or outside of maybe Mariner or Yankees, I should say, people that want to see somebody else besides Aaron Judge or Ohtani or one of these guys go in. Let's just start with Aaron Judge. I mean, let me just run these numbers and put these up on the screen for you. But I know, Vlad, you know him like the back of your hand. But as far as an entire season, we have to acknowledge we're seeing something. We're seeing two players that you've never seen anything. We know Cal Raleigh's story, but again, Aaron Judge, 53 home runs on the year, 114 RBIs, 331, an OPS of 1.145, on base percentage, 457. And just the way he finished the season is, Cal Raleigh getting all of the headlines. I just want to say this in big screen. All the headlines because of the things that he's doing as a catcher, the comeback that the Mariners have had, clutch hitting always by Cal. Home runs come at he's not a garbage time home run hitter. Very clutch, gets 60, he gets 59 and 60 in the same game. You're passing people like it feels like a long time ago. We were talking about Johnny Bench, Salvi Perez. Then you're getting into the Mickey Mantle stuff. You pass Griffey. You tie Babe Ruth. Those things are all great. You've never seen a catcher. We get it. 60 home runs, all those RBIs, playing behind the plate. We get all of that. We haven't seen it before. But then if you're just talking straight pure hitting, you'd have to give your nod to Aaron Judge. I'll start there. Again, 375 in the last week, 417 in his last 15 games. Finished with 374 in the last month. And let's talk about home runs. 13 home runs in the last month. Oh, and look, the Yankees had to dig themselves out of a hole. They did it. They went down to the last game, almost winning the AL East. 94 wins. You take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, plus an IL stint thrown in there, which is not only missed time, but then you gotta get your timing back and factor back into finding your swing and all of that. So I mean, I will say that I've been like saying for the last month or so that it's really about the collective numbers. When Raleigh hit 60, I was like, well, that kind of turned me for a day, because I'm like, well, that's a big number, a big bench watermark to hit. But with the way Judges finished it, I mean, you kind of got to go with the collective numbers. I mean, and I've seen people break down even like more batshit numbers in the past couple of days on the clutch comparisons. And so just there's certain things that you break down if you want to say, well, what about the catching position? But MVPs, they don't really factor that kind of stuff in. So now all of a sudden you're going to factor it in. And also Judge has the most home runs in history with a batting title, I believe, or the only guy to ever have that many home runs and win a batting title, or maybe even have 50. So it's just like even everything that Cal's done in this breakout season. Judge, even though people might be fatigued with him just being so good, he's still doing shit that nobody's ever done, even in what just seems like a pedestrian Judge year. So I mean, I feel like I don't know if we'll ever see a co-MVPs. This could easily call for something like that. I would feel better about Judge losing one if they didn't give that Altuve one that he deserved as a rookie. But I kind of feel with how Judge finished the season, it's going right back in his favor because they needed him. He's and just the whole batting title element. I mean, this has been like the worst hitting season ever.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
31. He doesn't he's not a strikeout guy. It's just kind of hard. Like, how could you be that good and be the best all around hitter per at bat player in the league? It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, Judges. People always go, "Where would the Mariners be without Kyle Raleigh?" And I go, "Not where they are. No way in hell." But you look at the Mariners lineup the way it is now. It's a stacked lineup. Yeah, sure. Aaron Judge most of the time is in a stacked lineup, but the Yankees go when he goes. I mean, look at the. Sure, Toronto wasn't playing their best ball in September, but look at the turnaround you guys had from when you guys were having all those bullpen issues. And Aaron Judge is the one person he's never really had a big slump this season. You did see times where, dumpers hitting 200 and stretches and stuff like that. He's a very streaky hitter. Aaron Judge, not the case.
He also never got hot this year.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was just a straight line of consistency that you don't see, and you see that with the batting average is what really displays all of that. I mean, let's just say he hit 280 and he took a different approach at the plate. Maybe he hit 65 home runs,
70 home runs. Yeah,
but that's not what
I heard somebody say that earlier today too, when there was like when they were comparing the strikeout and like the situational numbers between him and Raleigh. They were like, if Judge was, or look at Ohtani. I mean, he'll still hit like 280, but when you watch Ohtani's swinging, he leaves his shoes every swing. he's trying to do one thing. If Judge tried to do that, he's probably looking at like 70 home runs.
You got a comment here. Go ahead and read that one.
Here's my offer. Give Cal the MVP. I will personally dip Altuve in molten metal and make him into a trophy for Judge.
Well, I will say,
yeah. If Raleigh does win it, knowing that Judge won the batting title, which is something he hasn't done, and let's be honest too, what does Judge really need out of a season at this point? He needs a good playoffs and a ring. So. But at the end of the day, when you see the numbers up there, I mean, Raleigh's leads in home runs, and that's it. Is that really what the MVP is supposed to have? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think he leads in RBIs.
In the AL?
Yeah.
Pull up the because Adrian Suarez obviously doesn't.
Oh, he does. He leads in
home runs and RBIs.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So he's got those two, but in everything else, he's not even in the top like 10 of half of these things. So, but I mean, I get it, and also it's good to see a new face in like the amazing. I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy that he's developed into this fucking guy.
Yeah,
and had a strong season, and we'll see where it goes from there. Because it's all fun and games getting that first, putting yourself on the Mount Rushmore of top players, but we, especially when it comes to the power numbers, those things can dip. But I'm happy that you guys got. I mean, when we've been talking up and down, you guys needing an impact bat, it was sitting here this whole time, and he just had to, somebody had to say, "Hey, Cal, here's a torpedo bat. Welcome." That's the funny thing, and I have to bring it up though, because this is the truth. If Judge used a torpedo bat, they would bring it up on every, they would never, anything that happened when the Yankees do something, everybody's allowed to do this shit. And I'm saying this I get it. Nobody wants to hear the Yankee fan crying about any whatever. And, I'll take whatever. I'll take what we deserve. But you have to give me what we earn. And it's like, if we put torpedo bats on the map in game 2 of the season, and it was the talk of baseball for a month. And now Raleigh hits 60 home runs with one, and nobody even mentions it. And so I'm just saying, if Judge used a torpedo bat, they would be using every undercutting way they could. All these turncoats on MLB, DeRosa, who I love, all these guys, it would be worked into their arguments.
Maybe, but also you have a choice to make it. Not every player uses them. Some people, like even out Julio, tried it out and was like, "That's not for me." Some people, it wasn't for me. Some people have these different handles, but I guess the argument you're making is if he did anything different like that, they would be all over it. And you feel like it's just went underneath the rug with Cal Raleigh. We've ignored the fact that he's using a torpedo bat. But
Parmesan LeBron's trying to say Judge is not clutch. We could ask the computer geeks. He leads the league in go-ahead home runs. But that you could slice the numbers up and figure it all out. I mean, Judge is a clutch hitter this season and in previous ones. But he's saying that Cal doesn't play his home games on a girls' softball size field. I want you to, we could run the numbers. When people try to throw the Yankee Stadium into a Judge argument, they look foolish because there's not a ballpark on God's green earth that could hold this man. He's a 6'7" physical specimen who hits to all fields. And if we want to bring the switch hitter thing, Judge hits from one side of the plate better than both Raleigh's lefty or right-handed hitting numbers. So he doesn't even have to switch. He hits righties and he hits everybody good, better at a higher clip.
So you're saying it's better if you just do it from one side than you can go from both sides.
No, I'm saying the numbers show that Judge's his batting average against righties is better than, and his batting average against lefties is both better than Cal's while switching sides.
I'd believe it because Cal's definitely not a average hitter as we know, and that's always been his game where we've always talked about it. What if Cal Raleigh, look at his career batting average, 226. We always said, what if he hit 20 points higher? Well, he did, and we got to see what happened, how scary it'd be. Yeah, his OPS is not where Aaron Judge's is at all. It's 948, 359 on base percentage, also lower. Obviously, the average is lower. Cal Raleigh, not that it matters. What if it came down to this, though? Has stole 2 more bases than Aaron Judge. Leads the league in RBIs with 125. 60 home runs. We know about that, tied Babe Ruth. And just the optics of what Cal Raleigh does as a catcher. And my biggest argument is this. You go and you look at the NL. And you look at what Kyle Schwarber's done, or you look at anybody that's went up against Ohtani. That's always the tiebreaker, or the thing that tilts the scale is, well, this guy goes out on the hill and he handles it. The years that he was only DHing, like last year when he was injured, sure, you might have had an argument, but Ohtani put up these monster numbers. If you were comparing who was a better MVP last year, Ohtani or Judge, you'd have to give it to Judge because he goes out there and he plays every single day. And you've made that argument before when Ohtani was just DHing. So I feel like the argument here is MVP, and I said this at the beginning, if you're just giving who's more effective at the plate, you have to give it to Aaron Judge, even though Cal Raleigh has 60 home runs. But when you're putting everything into account of the season, just like you do with Ohtani going, well, he pitches and he hits. Well, you're looking at somebody that catches pretty much every single day, and he plays good. His numbers might not be as great as last year, but not as many people ran on him as last year. He threw out a lot more runners. You add that to the fact, I think that's where you bring it back up. And I think it is going to be a split decision, but I could see just as many people wanting to give it to Cal because of those factors. And then I could see maybe more of a traditionalist that's going to give it to Judge. It's just unfortunate that Cal Raleigh's done this. I do want to say this. I think it's unfortunate that Cal Raleigh's done this in a year that Aaron Judge, a year nobody else has seen. And that's the problem there. You're seeing two things. Actually, if you had Ohtani, you're seeing three things that until right now you never ever saw in baseball. And so
my thing is it fair? Is it fair to not give it to the guy who has better across the board numbers because of how good we already know he is? And because, what they call sometimes people get Judge or Ohtani fatigue, and in the league, they're kind of praying for somebody to emerge. But is it fair for Judge to be like, oh, well, because his numbers are dominating in all of these categories, and he's still up there with the home runs after being hurt. So it's like, he's like top one or two in all these other categories by a lot. And that would just be my question. Is it fair to just be, oh, well, Judge, you had another crazy season, but you didn't hit as many home runs as you did a couple of years ago. So, but you still, you got better at all these things. You could argue this is his best season.
Sure.
And he got hurt.
And he got hurt. Sure, I will give it. I know some people go, well, Cal played more games, but then if you can put up these stats in less games, then isn't that even more impressive? So I do see how that can tilt towards Judge. I just think, again, it's just the optics again. I think you can, and I'm admitting this, you can get a little bit lost in that where you're seeing all these people get knocked down that have held records forever, whatever, Johnny Bench. I know Salvi Perez didn't hold it for very long. The switch hitting thing with Mickey Mantle, but I get it. If you're a switch hitter, does that mean just because he's doing it from both sides of the plate, you get discounted because you only hit on one side of the plate? And you're right. That's not fair.
But also, like I said, has better numbers from both sides. From both opposing pitching sides. So, but also, like, they tried to use that argument last year where people were trying to get Bobby Witt, and where they were like, all right, he's being judged, but Witt's the shortstop of the team. Or they tried to say last year, Lindor's a shortstop. Yeah, well, Ohtani was a DH, but he had 50 home runs and 60 steals. And Ohtani still hits for a high average. He doesn't hit lower than like 270, 280. In today's game, that's 300. So, in today's game, Judge hit 331. That's what? 370 in the heyday, in the the more baseball eras before the uppercut swings and all this bullshit, whatever's going on. So
So at the end of the day, what in your heart of hearts, I know you feel that Judge deserves this. You have to. I wouldn't think
yes,
of
but I
you
wouldn't
thinking of it
be
any
I
other
wouldn't
way.
be
And
heartbroken.
let me ask you this. In your heart of hearts, what do you think happens here? What do you think the AL MVP, what do you think is going to start? Let me rephrase that. Word salad there. In your heart of hearts, what do you think is going to happen? What is the outcome going to be? Not what you want, but what do you think the writers are going to do?
I think at the end of the day, especially by how everything ended, I think Judge will get his MVP, his third MVP, and you know, Raleigh will just have the best catching season, offensive catching season, or maybe the best catching season of all time.
I could see that happening. And if it goes the other way, do you think there's any accusations that Judge was robbed? Or let's say Cal Raleigh doesn't get it, can Mariners fans say he was robbed? Or is it just, again, a case of
I don't think it's fair to say anybody's gotten robbed. I don't like, and that's an honest, fair assessment. And like I said the other day, when Raleigh hit 60 and had a chance at the record, I was like, well, that's a number that's worth. That's even me. I'd be at that point until Judge, finished the season the way he did too. But I was just like, well, fuck it, give it to him. But I mean, I don't think anybody should be heartbroken either way. I mean, look what we're talking about here. We're talking about a catcher who broke every offensive record, and then we're talking about a guy who's been, having to argue his way into being the best player in the sport for years. And all he does is put up numbers that nobody's seen in 100 years. Every season. Every season, there's a new thing where who's done this. When they say Judge just did something, the only names you see around him are Ruth, Williams. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. And this is new for Cal Raleigh or any Mariner for that matter, since like Ken Griffey Jr. or maybe Alex Rodriguez, where you're seeing all of these all-time, top 1%ers of baseball where you're being compared to them or you are the best. And you're right. And Judge has kind of circled around that for the better half of a decade.
I mean, well, definitely within the past 5 years, so, he's just he's showing signs of getting better. This is his age 33 season. And he's just coming to the ballpark every day with a game plan, getting better at shit. I mean, they were saying when he hit 50, what he hit 52 as a rookie, and broke that record that Alonso broke fucking a year later. He was strikeout a guy. He's going to hit a lot of home runs and strike out a lot. And he's completely become a different player than that. So, but I mean, I think if anybody gets heartbroken on either side of it and cries, it's crazy. I mean, you're seeing two great seasons. I just think Judge has the numbers, and whenever you try to bring other things into it, that's never how they score it. I mean, or if that was the case, a DH should almost never win it if the numbers are close. And I know they used to vote it like that, but like, I don't know. I don't know the numbers that well to make that argument. But like when Ortiz won an MVP, like I'm pretty sure his numbers were disgusting in a good way.
Yeah, and do you think there's a situation where
I'm looking up Ortiz's numbers.
There's a tie? Do you think there's going to be a co-MVP? I don't even remember the last time there was a I'd have to look that up.
I would say this
MLB
is probably the best chance of that. Wait, Ortiz won a real MVP, hasn't he? He definitely did.
It said there's only been one instance of co-MVPs in Major League Baseball history. In 1979, Keith Hernandez of the St. Louis Cardinals and Willie Stargell of the Pittsburgh Pirates tied in the MLB voting. Both players received an equal number of votes, 216 from the voters, making them the first and only MLB to that date. So this hasn't happened in our entire lifetime. It's only happened once in baseball. So if there was ever a case, though, I think of a co-MVP that we've seen, it might be the season. Probably not going to happen, but I would say if it did, would you be completely shocked, or would you go, oh, that seems like how it was all year? The crazy thing about Cal Raleigh is, even as a Mariners fan, we kept thinking, when is this storybook going to end for Cal Raleigh? He's hanged. I remember doing videos in May and June and being like, if you told us that Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge were going to be tied with home runs at this time of the year, you'd be surprised. And it just kind of never went away. And Cal Raleigh never went away from, honestly, being around that like upper 50 to almost 70 home run range the entire year. And again, as all this is happening as a Mariner fan, I can admit you stay in this vacuum because we've never seen this before where, hey, this is kind of the world that you've been living in, watching somebody like Aaron Judge. And you're right. And he's had to fight his way in arguments or discussions where even you were saying 2, 3, 4 years ago, you got to put him in that category with great outfield hitters all time, like Griffey and like Bonds and all of these guys. You're like,
these guys.
He's putting that together. Yeah. He's putting that together to make an argument. And when you start stacking up the MVPs and the playoff appearances and all of that above, you're looking at somebody like, hey, it was him. And it was, and just speaking of the American League, it was Ohtani. Ohtani leaves there. You had Mike Trout, or you have it. And he's outlasted those guys in that era of players as well, of staying in this, not Ohtani, but a lot of other American League players have come and gone. And he's still right there.
Parmesan LeBron said, bottom line, physical and mental toll impacted being a catcher. The MVP should go to Cal. I do think Judge is deserving of the MVP and will likely get it. What about the physical, mental toll of being 6'7" and playing baseball and staying on the field?
Here's another question. How many home runs does Judge finish with his career? Like, you guys are on top of that.
I don't know if he's going to see 700. I don't know if he's got enough time and enough healthy seasons left. But because he just,
and you look at the guys that go ahead. I was going to say one quick thing. The guys that do have like 700 and stuff, you got to look at like when they started actually playing baseball, where Aaron Judge went to college. He wasn't in the major leagues when he was
25. So
right. So a lot of those guys like Griffey, 19 years old, same age. Barry Bonds, he went to ASU, but we know how he finished up his career. And then same thing with Hank Aaron. These guys got going quite early, and Hank Aaron, similar to Aaron Judge, just a steady guy, except for Judge actually has bigger home run years than Hank Aaron, but he's making up for it. I would assume he's going to hit at least 650 home runs, in my opinion. I think he'll be somewhere in between 650. He might pass Griffey's at 630. Maybe he's got a shot at catching Griffey if he can stay healthy.
He's at 368.
That's tough to think he's going to get 300 more. I might have to lower that. I think. Yeah, I'm thinking I'll change that down to 580 to 610. I think he's going to end up right in there. It's nothing to be disappointed with.
I'll say 650 over 8 years, 7 years. It's just a lot to ask to get.
It is
50 home runs a year. I mean, the crashing into the Dodgers wall didn't help. I mean, that was another MVP season he was putting together, Triple Crown leader. I mean, that's kind of like the only thing left for him is the Triple Crown, which he was looking pretty good for most of this year. The only thing that stopped him from winning the Triple Crown twice already is the average. There was a couple days where he's in the last 4 days of the season. I know one of the years they benched the guy so he could stay above Judge for the batting title. So I'm not going to cry either way, because it's like, I mean, with you guys, the Mariners are like my, secondary team to, that I know about and root
Well, you
for.
work on a Mariners podcast, so like,
I know
yeah,
Cal Raleigh. He's not like some guy who just appeared in my life like everybody else. So I'm not gonna cry about it. I mean, just it does once you start talking Hall of Fame and all these things, and when you start trying to stack up against people, and that's why that Altuve MVP still pisses me off, because he should be going for 4 right now.
Right. But even if you lose, but if Judge, I'll put it this way. It's more important to Cal Raleigh's career, if we're talking Hall of Fame stuff and going in that direction. This is far more important for Cal Raleigh to get. If Judge doesn't get this MVP, it doesn't do anything to diminish what he's done. You're right. He should have got that one over Altuve. But any of the perennial guys that are there at the end of the year, even going into pitching, I remember I don't know how many times Felix Hernandez was the runner-up or the third guy or whatever, got Cy Young. And for him, if he would have got that second Cy Young or that third Cy Young, and, his career didn't go very far into his 30s, that's a huge difference to the voting at the end, where I feel like Cal Raleigh is putting together a Hall of Fame for his position. He's on track for that, for sure. He's on track for, catching Piazza. He's on, as far as defensively, he's right there. So, but I feel like these things are important to him. But again, I feel like he might not get it. And I look at this year between Judge and Cal Raleigh. I'm happy it's Cal Raleigh competing against somebody like Aaron Judge. So it made it more of a household name. Aaron Judge being attached to the MVP race, I think, did a lot for Cal Raleigh just as a persona. Somebody that definitely, if there's ever a pace car, so to speak, that you had to keep track of, Cal Raleigh. If it's not Aaron Judge putting together a season like this, do you personally see Cal Raleigh having this great a year? Because you're always up against your competition. So I think it was fun, and behind the scenes for us, between me, you, and Hanson, we've had a lot of fun. Reds, the all rise texts or the numbers. And then the other day when Judge was hitting a couple home runs, and then we were like, Cal just hit a home run, Julio just hit like, it was in a matter of minutes, half an hour between your Twin Towers and our guys. It's like a home run fest. Of course, we were playing the Rockies and you were playing, I don't know, Northwest Little League, but it's been a lot of fun. And it is, like I said, wrap this up. We're almost at 90 minutes here. Of course, 30 minutes was stalling to see if Hanson was going to join us. The outlet had our sports thread, our Rye Bread thread muted.
Also, I was wrong. I was wrong before. I said Ortiz won a regular season MVP. He never did. And there was one year where his numbers were like, there was one year where, and I think that might have been the year where his numbers were like stupid better than other people. And they were maybe holding the DH against him.
Sure.
But
I have remembered that debate many times in past MVP races. Was like, yeah, you'd have somebody who's DHing. It's different if Aaron Judge was DHing all year, which he wasn't, and we know how hard he plays in the outfield. I mean, you've lost him to injuries for playing too hard. Like a couple of years ago, he runs in the wall here in LA. I mean, this guy is no slouch, and the character of the two people. I mean, you couldn't have better characters of people with Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge. They're both like stand-up solid guys. So Major League Baseball wins no matter what. And I think they've won this year with just this story has been a great thing.
And America wins
America
because
wins.
now we get to see them hitting 2 and 3 for the baseball classic this next spring.
Yeah, and maybe in a week or so, we see them battle AS, and you get to bring back all of the Mariner Yankee classics that they've had in the last 25, 30 years. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think I'm with you, and we'll talk later, but I think it's setting up, and I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it is
Dude,
AL.
look, you guys have the road. Like, it's like, come on, dude. The Guardians, we beat them last year. They tried their best. And, they just couldn't, at the end of the day, can they slug with us? No. Can they slug with you? No. For us to have a Yankees Mariners ALCS, I got to face the two teams that it's just a world apart. So it's 2 series away. Like, I got to worry about Garrett Crochet shutting down the whole team and then figuring out how and blowing a Max Fried start, mind you. I used to feel that way back in the old days. It'd be like, why are we, if we know that this pitcher is going to shut us down, put our number 2 in there and move our number 1 to game 2. I know it makes no sense to analytic. Like, why would you do that? But it's just like, there was just certain guys you knew, like Cliff Lee, we ain't going to touch him. So why are we wasting our best starter in a game we know that we probably can't win? Anyways, I'm just saying, like, I got to win a 3-game set. The Red Sox love playing Yankee Stadium. They admitted it earlier this year. Cora has Boone's number. And then if we win, what's our prize? Oh, yeah, the other team that fucking slapped our tits around all season long. So, and then if we win that, now we have an ALCS against fucking the new look Mariners. Your guys' whole playoff fucking lore is wrapped around one win against us 30 years ago.
Which I was there. And shout out to one of our good friends and listeners, Adam Resendez, who asked if I was coming up. We went to that game together. Yeah, you're right. That is. And you know what? I get a lot of, like you even said, you guys got to update your intro video. And I said, I will update this intro video when there's a happy story to tell again, because I know that we hang on to this 1995, that we hang on to this 1995 thing, or we kind of hold on to this 2001 thing. But the Mariners have never reached those heights again, as exciting as things have been. And you throw Cal Raleigh and the Eugenio coming back and the Josh Naylor stuff, and just how the team is and the vibe around. It's like they still have not reached the point that they used to be at. And when they get there, I'll feel better. And you're right. We're a little bit putting the cart before the horse, because we want this as friends, and we want this as fans, and we want this as a podcast. It would be great to have this happen. And I think the way maybe people are gravitating to the Yankees, the Mariners, just being this underdog in the AL as far as the organization in a whole. But you are looking at some tough matchups. And as far as Detroit and Cleveland, maybe I do feel more comfortable with those teams, but I also can see when this Mariners lineup, as good as it is, can go to sleep for 3 or 4 days. You got some, and I've mentioned this many times, we have the streakiest, some of the best streakiest hitters you can find. Randy Rosarena, you're very familiar with him. Cal Raleigh, he's a streaky hitter. Julio Rodriguez, he's been solid the second half, but he can either be absolutely gangbusters, but he can get into the big swing and miss or the ground ball thing. You look at Josh Naylor, fine, he's solid, but you look at Eugenio Suarez, you look up the name streaky in the dictionary, he's right there. That's just, and I've seen the Mariners completely go to sleep. And this year they had much more balanced team because of the injuries to the pitching and that just getting going. But the offense is the reason why they're there. But the offense can go to sleep at times. We've seen it. So I think that's my biggest concern. And I'll talk about this with Hannah more in depth, but that's what I'm afraid of is, you have a 2 or 3 bad days. That whole season is down the toilet. And that's what's scary about the wild card round. You could have a bad 24 hours. You could play the 5 o'clock game and have to come back and play at 1 o'clock tomorrow. And you just have a bad day and you're done. And I wish that wild card round was 5 games, but obviously you don't want the other team sitting around and you want to wrap this season up before it's Thanksgiving. But yeah, so we're excited about going in. Do you have any last things? Shit, we did 90 minutes here, but guess what? It's the playoffs. Lot to talk about.
Streaky hitters are really frustrating in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are.
You gotta hope they turn that dime, or you just hope that the team picks them up and carries them into a new round.
Mm-hmm.
If and when that happens. But yeah, and this is the playoffs, so it's like the season doesn't matter. How you play doesn't matter. Everybody's picking up the real book about you right now, and the Judge, Cal, whatever they did doesn't mean shit because they could go 0 for fucking 12 in the, you know what I mean, like their first, because all of a sudden, however they get Cal out, all of a sudden, Judge is lunging over the plate for that fucking slider on the outside. You know what I mean? Once I see him do that, I know he's done. You know what I mean?
That's
same thing with
Julio. You see him going after, when you see the sliders going, Jorge Polanco, same guy, when they're just swinging at pitches that you're like, what in the world is going on? That's usually a sign that, hey, it might be like this for a day or two. And the pitching is going to shrink down. Luckily, the Mariners pitching's kind of going in the right direction. The bullpen's been better. They're going to have 2 exhibition games, inter-squad games against themselves this week, and they've actually invited fans down, and they've made a $10 ticket price, but they're going to be doing 2 6-inning. It reminds me of Rocky 3 when he's getting ready to battle. It is smart. No, because they want
that. Like you should do that.
Yeah, they're simulating some games. So basically, but they're not going to play inter-squad against each other. I take that back. They're having the taxi squad from the AAA basically play them, and I think they're just going to play, and they'll probably do, I would assume they'll probably do situations where they'll have like an inning where it's 2nd and 3rd and there's no outs, and that's how you start the inning. I would assume you do creative things like that if you were and going, we're going to run this back again, and we want to run this play again. And I'm sure you're probably just going to see the pitchers maybe go out there and get, maybe a starter might get like 20 pitches, just get warmed up and come down. But we'll talk about it. We're going to be back. Hannah, if you're listening, doing this right now, we're going to be back Thursday night. Might even be doing some streaming. I know you got rehearsal on the Thursday night, but
I want to say this. I think you guys are making the ALCS no matter what you guys do. I think if the Yankees can beat the Red Sox, and remember, the Yankees went to the World Series last year. I wasn't behind. Like, I thought they went into the playoffs like shit. I thought they played during the playoffs like shit. And I wasn't really like, this Yankee team's better than the team last year, even without Soto. They're just a better team. They've played stronger down the stretch. I think if we could beat the Red Sox, I think we're getting to the World Series. Not saying I think that our teams are too evenly matched, but when you throw in we went to the World Series last year. Sometimes these teams, you need that muscle memory, and that disappointment. They got humiliated by bad play, by beating themselves. But also, I mean, do I have to wait for Boone to bring in a fucking starting pitcher who hasn't pitched in 3 months in the middle of a game he doesn't belong in? ever again. Um,
I'm putting this up on the screen. You gave us the Juan Soto and 30-39. It's just a photo image shot of Bartolo Colon. But I'll give you this before we get out of here, because I'll have a lot of Mariners stock. Tell me the excitement and the feeling of the New York Mets and their collapse, along with Juan Soto, the guy that chose the Mets over you guys.
The only thing that takes a little bit of the celebration out for me is that they've just been headed towards this. So all the big radio guys, everybody, they've already been like for about a week, they've already known that this is what's going to happen no matter what. And they might have been kind of protecting their feelings a bit so that they could be like, oh, well, at least they still got in, but they stink and this is just bad. But like, I haven't been celebrating or anything. I've been following, watching, hoping, but like, you got to worry about your own team. And also, I wouldn't have put it past them to get in by luck, playing like shit, and then somehow fucking turn it around.
I mean, that was the playoff spot that nobody seemed to want. I mean, the Arizona Diamondbacks, after just unloading Naylor and unloading Eugenio Suarez, were in the mix until about Saturday. And then the Mets
is the Red manager, right?
The Mets lose to the Marlins and can't put anything up on the board. And then the Reds also they lost games this week to Pittsburgh. I mean, they lose this game. They get in on account of just the Mets more than themselves. I think and of course, the LA Dodgers get them, a Dodgers team that seems like they're kind of turning it around right now. They know what all these teams that play like you guys that are perennial playoff teams, they know when to turn the lights on when it's time to go on. But we've also
the Dodgers are the real team of that. They just won. They have a lot of their a good amount of their players. Well, actually, first of all, most of their team has won the World Series last year. But you still got some that were from the 2020 on there. They've been gearing up for this shit. So no matter how they're playing, you kind of still got to be scared of them. But I was just I was hoping the Mets missed it just because of the Soto situation, the shit talking, how they're not the little brother anymore, and it's like they thought it was going to be so easy to do what we did, get Soto, make the World Series. Because you could say Soto got us into the World Series last year. He hit the go-ahead home run against Cleveland. Did he do everything? No, but he got that final fucking hit, which took the air out of them, and all of the things. And it was just, all-time greatest at bat anybody's ever seen. Fouling the pitches off, talking shit, shuffling all. But the Mets thought that they were, slapping us across the face by taking Soto and ruining the Soto Judge thing that we thought we were going to see for the next 10 years. And they thought they were just going to plug him into their team that had a great run last year. And the opposite happened. They had maybe the best chemistry in baseball last season. And a lot of people are saying now, like, when your team falls apart at this level and then you whimper in and then you can't beat the fucking Marlins, and you can't even put a run on the last day of the season. Like that's chemistry.
Oh, I know that we're recording this on a Sunday night, and I know you, and I know you're going to be up bright and early listening to all of the New York radio tomorrow. It's just going to be you really do enjoy, the Mets, because you said, just because I forget that, like, your feed is completely different of what you have to see all the time. And just being from that region of the country, you got Mets fans, you got Phillies fans, you got, it's a unique place of where there's a lot of baseball fans. I mean, Boston's not too far either. So, I mean, it's, you really got that competition of I mean, just people that you might, just people that you might know, whether they're family members or old classmates or whatever, where you're seeing a lot of that. Baltimore, your good friend, Baltimore Orioles fan who we've had on the podcast. So where I mention this all the time. It's fun to do the episodes with you on here. It's like we kind of stay in a Mariners vacuum, and being a content producer, podcast producer for a Mariners show, you kind of get stuck in, selling what we're doing or over analyzing what you're doing versus like looking league wide. And we don't usually get to do this. And because of the playoffs now, it is fun. We're zeroing in on Detroit, Cleveland, New York, Boston, and Toronto. And, it's all unfolding now. It's going to unfold fast.
With this podcast, I follow the Mariners just as a Yankee fan. I mean, I probably watch at minimum 150 games a year, maybe some in part, but like I don't really miss games or coverage. But like without trying, I still follow the Mets because for all the sports shows and the newspaper, we share everything. So even when the Yankees are up, I still know who they're going after in the off. You know what I mean? Like I don't even have to try to always be in the loop of what's going on in the Mets world. So like, and then did I hate watch them more this year? I don't usually hate watch them. Was I watching Soto at bats? Was I rooting against him? Yeah. You know what I mean? It was kind of fun, but and to me, it's just like that perfect button of like they stole Soto, broke a lot of people's hearts.
Yeah,
he not being one of them, but like, and then just thought they were going to plug him into their team from last year, and like that's how it works. And it's like, it's not how it works. Like they think they're coming for the top spot. You got to make the playoffs year in, year out, no matter what. I mean, how bad have the Yankees teams been these, every season, it seems, there's every mid-season, there's a new, fire fucking everybody and all this shit. And like, aside from that, it's like, we still get into the playoffs, make a bad signing, pivot, get new guys or whatever it is. They're always trying to tweak the chemistry or whatever it is. And like, they just thought, oh, well, the Yankees got Soto, went to the World Series. Let's just steal him. And then you missed the playoffs? The highest payroll? Come on. No significant injuries? I mean, what?
Like the Mets
staff? I mean,
the Mets.
We lost Cole.
I feel like
name a team that lost the best pitcher in baseball, or the short list.
Sure, that's. I mean, somebody of that stature. No, nobody did. Even when the Mariners lost multiple of their pitchers for little amounts of time, it doesn't add up to losing an absolute proven ace, somebody that's on a Hall of Fame trajectory type pitcher. And I was just going to say this, like the Mets, when you're bringing them up, you're right. They're like that sleazy bastard you wouldn't want to leave your significant other around. They're always trying to make a move for somebody and do it in a desperate way. And yeah, you're right. They don't strike me ever as a team that goes, we're going to develop all these guys and trade draft. And, they don't have the philosophy that the Mariners have, which is frustrating. But when
they're trying,
yeah,
that's why they didn't spend any on pitching. They didn't buy any pitching, which is like the dumbest thing you could do, because I mean, I get you're wasting a lot of money, but if the Yankees didn't say every few years they pick one guy out of a group of pitchers and like, we have to invest in people and develop it. You have to do both, because you're going to need, you kind of always need more pitchers, no matter what. Right. And I know you guys have had a lot of good health luck. Good for you. But look around. Pitchers, has a fingernail issue. Anything. Serious, not serious, blister, whatever. These guys are missing games. Tommy John, all these things. And they were piecemealed this horse shit pitching staff into the season. And it was good at first, but, baseball catches up to you. And
sure does. We do. As much as we want to get out of here, we just keep getting more and more people coming on. What do we have here?
Sorry about this, Mariners fans, but I flew in for all 3 Dodgers games and watched Cal Raleigh strike out every at bat with runners in scoring position. Didn't play like the MVP. 1 extra base hit. Dodgers shut down.
Well, thank you, Johnny Owen, for letting us finish on a fucking high note on this podcast. I can't let that be the last.
I do think this weekend is going to hurt them.
Yeah, I do too. I think again, it's all these are writers voting, and it's all about the headline, and you know, you never go against the story. And yeah, Cal Raleigh had all the momentum in the world, and yeah, it is a disappointment that it feels like it feels so shitty to say. I am disappointed he didn't hit 61 or 62, or Eugenio didn't get 50. Yeah, the Mariners, I feel like again,
I would have been disappointed if Judge didn't break the record when he did. I would have been disappointed because he had, you know, like there was the chunk of time, like Raleigh had the runway there, and that's knowing Judge could get up to 60 fairly easily, and you know, you need everything to go right. So like I would be pissed that he didn't hit it, because you know, what if Raleigh hits 55 next year? What if he hits 48?
He might hit 35, and I'd be okay with that. I've been happy with it this year. I mean, it might be an outlier. It might be an outlier, but he
better hit 45 healthy.
Yeah, I hope I think he can get. I think he can get 40. We got, obviously the Dodger fans are getting in here. Devin, what's it, Haas or Hayes?
Haas.
Yeah, Haas. Okay, we got Haas the boss, Devin Haas the boss in here saying Padres are bums. And then we got another one from Johnny Owen. Padres own the loneliest trophy case in baseball. Losers. Keep it going, guys.
They have the best bullpen, man.
I don't know if that guy's seen our trophy, the Mariners trophy case. I think so, even a little lonelier. They haven't even sniffed the panties of the World Series. So it's going to be fun. I mean, as a fan, of course, I would love it. I mean, I'd love to play the Yankees in the ALCS, but of course, living down here in Southern California most of the time, I would love a Dodgers or a Padres World Series, you know, and being able to do the podcast and do content and be around the vibes of what's going on would be an ultimate experience. You got to experience that last year. You went to Dodger Stadium. It wasn't a fun day, but it's probably overrated. And the Dodger Stadium, there's not a lot to do around there. I haven't been to Yankee Stadium, but you don't really feel the vibes. I guess you could go down Sunset Boulevard and hang out, but it doesn't have that.
So now, like, you know, I've lost a World Series to the Dodgers since I've lived here, and I've lost a Stanley Cup to the Kings my first year being here. The thing that sucks, so sure, it's cool that your team's here, but the thing that sucks is then you're still here while everybody's the fake fans, the real fans, you don't get to shut it off. So like the World Series is over, you know, people are still taking shots at me a month after. Deserved. But, you know, you can't walk into a place and then like some fake Dodger fan who knows you're a Yankee fan. Oh, you know, everybody's got to get their licks in. But it's because you live in the city that just won. So it doesn't like, you know, it takes a little longer to get over. You know, I probably only got over it a couple months ago, to be honest. But
I've never really, with the Mariners, unfortunately, I've never gotten that experience because of what's happened. But as a Seattle Seahawks fan, yeah, I can completely understand with you. But Yankees hatred or big major team hatred's on a whole nother thing. And especially when you get the LA, New York thing, it's a whole thing versus where, you know, Seattle it's hard to find a rival. You know, the Houston Astros fans and the Mariners fans have really been in. I personally can't stand the Angels fans, but that's just from living in Long Beach and going to school down there and being. And when I first moved to Southern California, the Angels had that miracle World Series team, and they've also been this thorn in the Mariners' side. I've said it before. Even when the Mariners look like they're just about to get to the playoffs at the end of the year, they have to play the Angels, and they're just grabbing you, go, you're not going either, and just pulling you down. And this year they actually swept the Angels at home, which is just, to me, an outlier at the end of the year, but also the two teams completely different directions. But yeah, I mean, the LA bandwagon, there's nothing compares to anywhere else I've been of just the bandwagon shit talking that maybe the LA fans could possibly do. I mean, maybe it gets like that out in New York, but here you get somebody
because here there's so many transplants, so that everybody becomes a Dodgers fan, that's fair to me. It's fair to be in a city and become a bandwagoner because you're here.
Johnny,
let's say somebody moved to Seattle to work for fucking Boeing or some shit from Cleveland, right? And they end up, meeting friends who are all into the Mariners, and they end up being sucked into this Raleigh season or something like that. And it's like, I just feel like bandwagon is okay. What I don't like is the extra band, like the second tier bandwagoners who have teams and all that, and now all of a sudden they're Dodgers fans, even though you're from Cleveland. And now you're just, doing the hate Yankee shit, But like I said, I mean, what could I really complain about? Being the number one hated team, but we earned it from beating everybody all the 30 years ago.
You get to find out who really hates your team when that happens. Because you might have a friend that you're like, I thought you were kind of supportive of my team, and then all of a sudden, and now you're an Anaheim Angels fan against us. What's that? What's that all about? But I do feel like if we do reach against you guys, you are going to see the Mariners fans. Of course, people across the nation are going to be going for the Mariners if you play the Yankees. That's the way it's going to be. Interesting if and then another scenario, I've talked about this before. You look on the National League. Let's get out of here in the next 3 minutes because we're almost at 2 hours. But you'll get Cincinnati. I don't think they have a shot in hell. Last famous words. That Padres Cubs series, a good team is going to be going home. I think the Padres are better than the Cubs. But then you get down to it in the National League. You got Padres, Brewers, and more than likely, or the Cubs, Brewers, and you're going to have Philly. It seems like it's inevitable. It's going to be Philly and LA. Those are tough teams. Who do you see getting through this first round right now? LA, Cincinnati, really quick.
I mean, I feel like the only people who have a shot against LA in that first round would be the Mets if they didn't look like. Because even if the Mets got in, their pitching is a disgrace. So they would nobody's winning a game against LA until the championship series. But
yeah, I think the Dodgers are going to make Mets meet. Even if they lose one game in this, they'll still just destroy this team. What do you think about Padres, Cubs? Cubs home field advantage because they are the central winner. Or no, sorry. They were the top wild card winner, and the Padres, they're sitting in the 5 slot. I've been unimpressed with the Padres versus last year, where I was a bit more impressed with them. Mariners head to head I think they've won 5 of 6 out of them. They didn't really scare me. Like Philadelphia scared me, Milwaukee scared me, and the Dodgers, even though it's this whatever weekend, that's a team that still scares me, just like the Yankees do. What do you think, Cubs, Padres?
I think the Padres need to figure out who they are. I mean, they're the team that should have beat the Dodgers last year and let them back in. And they have pretty much the same team and they're better. So I don't want to hear it. If you're a legit team, I think that on their best day they could hang with the Dodgers, but it's a new season. So I mean, I think that the Padres win clean, but I don't know. I mean, I guess we're like I don't feel comfortable judging them until I see how they look in the first round because of how they went out last year. But shout out to Johnny Owen, 4th generation Dodgers fan, trolley Dodgers fan from Brooklyn. Great granddad, his dad and himself. Screw the bandwagon, go Dodgers. My family's also from Brooklyn, but luckily my grandmother is the reigning baseball fan, and she was a Yankees fan. So, but Dodgers were always my National League team because they're from Brooklyn. Until when I moved here, the Yankees weren't good when I moved here, so nobody was openly shitting on me. But then as soon as the Yankees got good again, all of my Dodger fan friends, everybody was, I saw that hate in their eyes. And then I was like, you know what? I don't even feel comfortable rooting for your fucking team now, because even though they're technically my National League team, they're from Brooklyn, just like everybody else in my entire family. I just don't even feel comfortable cheering for them. And now, especially after last year, no, I don't know if I'll ever root for them again. Fuck Brooklyn. I know. I mean, you know, I used to have my favorite hat of all time was a Brooklyn Dodgers hat. That was like made out of like the old school material. They used to sell it across the street from the old Yankee Stadium. I would buy a new one every year. And then one year I was like, I had a lot of money on me, and I was like, you know what? I should just go buy every single one they have. This is like my signature hat. And I was like, fuck it, I'll do it next year. Never saw never saw the guy there, never saw those hats. I've been looking for them. And now I can't, you know, I mean, dude, I used to go to Dodgers games here. I got a Mookie Betts jersey. That shit's over.
You did. I was questioning on that, but I get it. Well, here we said we were going to finish on a positive note. Padres will never win big. Padres will never win the big one, I think is what he's trying to say. Respect to both of you. Thank you very much, Johnny Owen. Loved having some Dodgers fans in there, and you know, I respect you going up to T-Mobile Park and checking out what a real stadium should look like nowadays instead of that dump they call Dodger Stadium up here on the hill. All right. With that being said, again, thank you for liking, subscribing, and all this shit. Johnny Owen, you better be giving us a subscribe if you want to come on here and troll. You got to pay the toll. Give us that like, that subscribe. And listen, if you've made it to the end of this 2-hour conversation that we were hoping to get out of here in about 30 minutes, get some rest, stretch, get some water. But we will be back this week. We got some. You gotta be on the swivel. You gotta be ready. Shit might be coming at you quick. We do have a scheduled episode already in the can. We'll put up here on the screen. Saturday Night Live writer Carl Tart. You like that picture?
It looks like he's playing the piano.
Yeah, I know. It was priceless to watch his reaction when he came onto the stream before I had myself on it, and I saw him looking at it, and I thought he was gonna be like this, and he was like, he was looking at it like, oh, nice up here ready for me. But yeah,
don't forget to promote our other show coming out on Fox News.
Oh yeah, yeah, Vlad and Friends. The Puerto Rican Putin and Puerto Rican Putin and his posse. Yeah, we're on at 3:45 a.m. and that will usually run about 3:40. But again, thanks for liking, subscribing, and staying up to date with us, I guess. And any of the casual fans or any of the trollers, we invite you to come in. Again, if you want that street cred for rocking the rye bread, Hit up at simply.core. That's at simply.core. Sorry, I don't have a shirt on right now to show you what they look like, but people like them. A lot of people are talking about it.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
And nobody's ever seen anything like it. And of course, as you can see on the screen, hit up In the Clutch Apparel. Shout out to Billy DeVore and In the Clutch Apparel. Use Rye Bread Mustard, all one word. You can get any team, pretty much any sport. Also, you also can go before you go to games. You can get yourself some hot dogs from Al's Gourmet Sausages. Actually, tell them Gary sent you, or Rye Bread and Mustard, or the Pike Street Drummer. Say what's up to Al. 2 locations there on Occidental. And of course, your pre and post funk here during the All-Star run or Seahawks game or anything happening is down at 1021 Occidental. We're talking about tacos and tequila. With that being said, this is our playoff preview. Thanks for hanging in there for 2 hours. And hopefully, I do want to go on record. Hopefully, the Yankees do make it through it so that we can put some good content out there for you. And one last time, just for Vlad, I'm going to put the big fat Juan Soto up on the screen, which was something you sent to me as soon as that news went down. Anyways, I'm going to shut the hell up. We're going to end this thing. I'm about to hit the outro button.